Drivers, start your engines!
It's MRN Motorsports Monday, the place for the latest news and loudest opinions, direct from the guys at the track. Presented by Outback Steakhouse. The stories, views, and opinions expressed on MRN Motorsports Monday are not likely shared by anyone, anywhere. Results may vary, so you should talk to your doctor before watching.
What's up, Doc?
Today's episode is brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Pace car is up.
Here's Woody Kane.
Oh, boy, am I glad to see you guys!
I knew you'd come back, Woody.
And Joey Meyer.
Just a reminder, if you're asking me a question on the radio, just keep talking till I answer it for you, all right?
Putting the band back together on MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Woody Kane, Joey Meyer back from special assignment with us. I'm glad your 2 weeks at home, 2 weeks off here are going well in the Charlotte area.
That's it.
You seem refreshed, rested.
Very refreshed. Evidently, I'm going to the beach later on. This is the beach episode of Motorsports Monday. So glad to be back after special assignment. I'm hoping I have video of what I did last week for my special assignment that I'm able to bring in. We're coordinating it and collaborating with other people.
Will there be criminal charges?
No criminal charges. No record to be talking about.
That's
but I
great.
think I'm going to have video of what I did last week. That'll be pretty intriguing.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of records, Kyle Busch gets on the board in the All-Star race, the Monster Energy NASCAR All-Star race, wins it in dramatic fashion on a late restart. Kind of went underneath your guy, and then Kyle Larson gets into Brad a little bit and roots him out of the way, but he had older tires than those guys behind him, and a lot of folks not too happy with the way this went. They felt like whoever got clean air on the nose was going to be dominant. Kyle Larson did that in the first two segments, but I thought it was a dramatic pass for the win, if nothing else.
You know, the effort goes into the All-Star race every year to try to make it more exciting. And sometimes it's not from a lack of effort, but sometimes it's just because these guys are really good. Charlotte Motor Speedway has a newly paved surface in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And right now the bottom lane on new tires is simply the fast way to go. At the end of our 20-lap segment, right at the end of every 20-lap segment, the middle and high lanes would come to play. I'm looking forward to the 600-mile race because we're going to run much longer on our tires and the track is going to become wider. Unfortunately, with the 20-lap segments, the very bottom was the way to be. The guy that got out front had a smaller advantage.
As long as he had decent tires.
As long as he had decent tires.
Because Clint Boyer went to the back when he got up there.
Clint tried it. Ryan Blaney tried it. Brad tried it on old tires due to a snafu with the rules. But being out front, being on the bottom lane was the fast way to go. It wasn't from a lack of effort. We've tried different soft tires. We're doing everything we can to try to put on a show. And everybody that wants to clamor about how great the 1992 race was, go back and watch it. The only thing that made it really great was the simple fact that Dale Earnhardt spun out into turn 3, Kyle and Davey wrecked at the start-finish line, and it was the first race under the lights. It wasn't that we got to watch 50, 60 laps of those guys beating and banging. It simply didn't happen. This race on a scale of 1 to 10 wasn't a 10. I'm the first one to admit it. But it wasn't from a lack of effort. We tried to make it exciting. We had different tires, different strategies, and we saw all that. But simply put, these guys are really good at what they do.
Yeah, they are.
And it's simply hard to pass good guys.
It really is. And Jimmy Johnson made the point afterward. He finished third that if we're all running approximately the same speed, it's really hard for anybody to pass. And we've had this discussion many times on this show, but it still appears that clean air on the nose of a car with decent tires is still ruling the day at 1.5 mile tracks in particular. It's better at the other tracks, but you're trying to beat physics here essentially.
But shouldn't the leader have an advantage?
Yes.
Like, you know, that's their goal, is to be out front. And if the guy leading the race is faster than the guys behind him, how do you stop that? You can't. It's simply the guy. We saw it years past when, you know, we come across the start-finish line inverted 6 deep. The faster guy was still winning the race, and we still have that. We had Jimmy Johnson, we had Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, the 3 cars that were superior to the field, and they showed that. The pit crews did their job. Again, it's a team effort. Kyle Larson had a faster car, in my opinion. He had the fastest car, but simply could not be able to catch the guys and get by them in the limited number of laps that he had. Had we gone on a longer run, Kyle would have been able to pass the other Kyle. And this Kyle Busch guy, he's ruining the sport.
Right. I was going to say, he also won the truck race on Friday night, so he swept the weekend and did his burnout this time.
Absolutely. He was allowed to do the burnout. who showed an enormous amount of respect in Kansas by not doing the burnout when he knew he didn't have a superior truck.
You know, that
when
made
Ben
people
Rhodes.
mad because they couldn't find as much stuff to beat him up about in Kansas because he didn't do the burnout. But I thought he showed a whole lot of class there, and his crew chief did as well when Bono Mannion came into the garage to shake the hand of Ben Rhodes and tell him he thought he had the best truck that night.
It's still a great weekend for truck racing, the All-Star Weekend, the Monster Energy activation at the racetrack. Later on and off track, we'll talk about some other All-Star events that don't get nearly the bad press that this race does, and the effort that this race goes into is much superior to those events.
All right, a look at All-Star races around the country and around the world is coming up on Motorsports Monday. Also, Justin Allgaier will join us. He's won 2 of the Dash for Cash segments right in the thick of the championship battle, running 2nd overall as we head to race at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. The Xfinity Series is back. The truck teams take a weekend off. We've got a lot more to get to on Motorsports Monday. Stay right there.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice. And I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
I'm Steve Post, co-host of MRN's Wing Nation. Join Aaron Evernham and me every Tuesday at noon Eastern on MRN.com and on the MRN app. And join Ashley Strummy and me on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV. We talk to the biggest names in sprint cars and give you the latest news and race results from dirt tracks around the country. MRN's Wing Nation on MRN.com, the MRN app, and MAV TV.
The perfect combination of strategy and a fast race car. Looks like it's going to pay off for Kyle Busch tonight. Off turn 2 for the final time. He'll look for the checkered flag.
Great restart, getting around Brad Keselowski. Just a few moments ago, Kyle Busch buries it down to the bottom. Kyle Larson to the inside of Jimmy Johnson for second. Grabs it, but Kyle Busch is long gone.
In his 12th try, Kyle Busch comes to the line. He will win the 33rd edition of the All-Star Race.
Kyle Busch wins the race, as you see there, waving the checkered flag to the crowd at Charlotte Motor Speedway on Saturday night. That's how it sounded from Dave Moody, Buddy Long, and Joe Moore with the call. Back on Motorsports Monday as we talk about the All-Star race, and Kyle Busch described how he got to that point to our Winston Kelly following his victory.
When we talked to Jimmy, he said it looked like the guy in third, and we talked to your brother, he said looked like the guy in third. Were you excited when you saw how you lined up and had calculated kind of what was going to come with Brad on the older tires?
Yeah, I was excited and I wasn't excited, all at the same time. I thought Jimmy was in the catbird seat, but, I got just a good enough launch and a good restart there to get some traction going on the 2-car. And when I got to start-finish, I had to pull out and move to the bottom in order to get below him. And that all worked. He left me enough room at the second kink, and we just checked out from there, and it was wasn't the fastest car that won tonight, but it was certainly the best crew, pit crew, Adam Stevens, crew chief, everybody that works on this car to give me a good pieces each and every weekend.
I think that illustrates, Joey, just how important restarts are in this sport right now, and Kyle Busch is one of the best at it.
Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and just a couple of other drivers have a distinct advantage on restarts. We were lined up front. We stayed out because of a snafu with the green tires. We'd stuck them on, had a loose wheel, came back down, took the greens off, put the yellows on because we were going to line up back. NASCAR said, no, you can't do that because you're not allowed to put non-stickers on. We're like, there's still stickers. We haven't even run a green flag lap yet. And they said no, so because the labels were technically worn off the tire because we ran one caution lap around. So we were lined up, we were out of tires, and that allowed the Jimmy Johnson beside us and Kyle Busch behind us to get really good launches. Brad got a good start, but again, you're not going to overcome good.
Yeah, I think the whole tire thing We were told going in it could be anywhere from 0.3 to 0.5 quicker. Denny Hamlin told us after practice on our live streaming show at MRN.com that they were about 1.5 to 0.2 quicker, and it only held up for 6 or 7 laps, at least for him. Others had a little, your actual mileage may vary, but I think that's a good concept, but I think there needed to be a more distinct difference with that tire for it to be a real card that guys could play.
You know, again, when we look at other series that run different tires, they don't run them for just 10 laps. They run them for the length of the tire run. And had we seen that with grippier tires and a little more greener tires, you would have gained an advantage shorter.
A little more greener. Word of the day. There you go.
But the issue is that the yellow tires were simply a longer run tire, but they offered decent speed. And specifically, if you were able to stay out front, the green tire wasn't an advantage to get around a yellow tire. But
they weren't Flintstone radials, but they were pretty good.
Exactly right. And again, we saw the effort put forth by the first time ever utilizing 2 distinct tires from the same manufacturer. Years ago, we used to have Goodyear and Hoosier, and you could choose who you could run. But this time was the first effort by Goodyear to produce 2 different tires without a test, mind you, to produce a green and a yellow tire. And I think overall the experiment worked.
Yeah.
Okay, it just didn't work.
It gave them the data they need to make it better.
Right.
Yeah.
It just didn't work as dramatic enough for the strategy to play out in 20-lap segments.
Yeah, it sure did. And it was interesting to see that the guys did get one, or the teams got one set of those the option tires, the softer, quicker tire to practice on, but it was, 150 degrees track temperature that day, and that kind of skewed the numbers they were getting. I talked to a lot of crew chiefs who were saying, I don't know what we're really going to get from this because the data, the conditions are not going to be nearly the same at night as they are right now when we're practicing. It was hot during practice.
Yeah, if teams could have chose to qualify on the greens or the yellows, they would have qualified on the greens. There would have been a distinct speed difference, being able to be out front, run the bottom lane, and have clean air. The greens would have shown a bigger advantage than being in traffic, having to maneuver around, trying to utilize all the grip, and maybe not necessarily in the best lane.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk a little on-track, off-track, a segment we get to here on the program where we talk about some things we think are going right and some things that maybe aren't going quite so well in the world of motorsports. Let's start with you. What do you got?
Well, you and I are going to agree on this, and we're going to go on track with the qualifying effort from the All-Star race.
Oh.
It is fascinating to watch. It's fun to watch on the roof. The spotters aren't even required to be there, but we're lined up. We're lined
up.
You got
a great seat.
We can't wait to watch the effort from these guys getting around turns 3 and 4, coming down pit road in speeds excessive, over 160 miles an hour, stopping in a pit box. We only do it once a year. It's really fascinating to watch, and I hope the fans enjoyed it.
You know, usually when something like that happens, you talk to some guys who like it, some guys who don't. But when we were interviewing drivers, I got to work qualifying for MRN that day and call those pit stops. And then during the break, we went back and talked to several drivers. To a man, they were all grinning from ear to ear going, man, this is really cool. We never get to do this. This is what makes it so much fun, you know. But a couple times when they're coming at you that fast, you want to back up just a little bit. And several guys kind of got sideways, and several guys slid right through their pit boxes. There was some drama, some action there, a chance for mistakes to happen, and that's what made it interesting.
You know, when you talk about throwback and old school stuff, that's a throwback to the heritage of NASCAR. We used to do it with 43 and 45 cars on the track, so it's pretty impressive that we now still have the opportunity to do it with single car qualifying for the All-Star race.
All right, let's talk a little bit about off track then. What do you got there?
Every time Kyle Busch wins a race, we get to hear about how he's ruining a sport when he runs the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series. The guy simply is a racer. He likes to race. But let's give him credit. We talk about him ruining the sport. Is he really ruining the sport?
Some people think so.
Kyle Busch Motorsports since 2010 has entered over 365 races as a company. 300 of those races have been with other drivers except Kyle Busch. He's simply giving people an opportunity. Yes, he gets to run occasionally. He's going to run 5 truck races. He's run 3 this year. He's won 2, I believe, some kind of astronomical ratio. He's giving an opportunity for other people. I have a list. We could go down a list of people, but simply put, a younger group of drivers get opportunities through Kyle Busch Motorsports, Brad Keselowski Racing, Dale Jr. Those 3 drivers are the only ones that are actively pursuing an opportunity for young drivers. Quit saying he's ruining the sport. Yes, he's winning a race here and there, but he's really giving an opportunity to a larger group of people that wouldn't have the opportunity without Kyle Busch Motorsports.
You know, I agree because he and Brad in the truck series anyway are the only big-time owners. They're giving an opportunity to the younger guys. Sponsorship is hard to come by. There's some standalone teams like Thor Sport that aren't affiliated with a Cup team or a Cup driver. But by and large, it's difficult. It's difficult to get sponsorship. Brad and Kyle bring that to the series, but they have to drive the trucks some in order to pay the bills to get those guys the opportunities that they're looking for. And I think it's cool that they do give back and they do put other guys in the seats. Now, I will say this, Kyle Busch, now with his Rowdy Manufacturing is selling chassis. So when people see those things keep winning, they think maybe I should buy one. So that's not a bad alternative for him as well. I know Red Horse, for example, is buying their chassis this year. Many of the Toyota teams are running those chassis, and they're produced by Kyle Busch's organization.
Noah Grayson, Harrison Burton, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, Gary Clutie, Cody Coughlin, William Byron, just to name a few in the last year and a half of drivers that have gotten an opportunity behind KBM. And now we see William Byron's moved on. We see the Cody Coughlins have moved on. Harrison Burton's winning some K&N and ARCA races. So these are opportunities that are presented through the likes of Dale Jr., Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Busch Motorsports.
Yeah, driving right now, for example, Christopher Bell has just got a 7-race deal in the Xfinity Series with Joe Gibbs Racing. So it's giving opportunities to guys that might not otherwise be able to get them.
If he's planting the tree that produces fruit, he's allowed to eat the fruit once in a while.
Once in a while, you can have an apple or two.
Yes.
Let's hear from more of the guys in the All-Star race. We had a conversation about this earlier about Kyle Larson, about how good he was early on. Here's what he had to say after the All-Star race.
We were the dominant car for sure and came down the leader on that final round of pit stops, and we got beat by 3 other people. So that was really a difference. Clean air is really important on a mile and a half, and then especially for 10 laps. You're pretty much going flat out there, and so we just lost all our track position. And I don't want to take anything away from my pit crew because they've been amazing. All year they've been the best pit crew throughout the first quarter of the season, which is spectacular. So I think maybe nerves just got the best of all of us there at the end. I guess I stumbled a little bit leaving my pit stall, but not bad. And just having restart 5th was the difference.
About the traffic and the money stop, so to speak, that 2 guys got out ahead of him.
Yeah, the gentleman that was lined up beside Brad Keselowski thought he was going to win the race, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah, I really felt like that Brad would be able to hold back that inside lane, and I was going to be in the catbird seat on the outside. But that second row just has such an advantage where they can roll up on the leaders. The second place car can't jump first, so out of that whole environment, the guy in second is really in the biggest situation. That's the worst situation, and that's where I was. But I got a good start. I just thought Brad would block harder than that, and the 18 got inside of him, and I watched the race slip away right then and there.
There you go, Jimmy Johnson with his feeling about finishing third at
the guy lined up outside of Brad thought he had the advantage. Kyle Busch lined up behind Brad thought he had the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Larson, who had the fastest car, thought he had the advantage. So there we are. We had 4 drivers in the top first 2 rows with a great weekend here in the All-Star race. But if you can't make it to the Coke 600 this coming weekend, a very good opportunity down in Daytona Country 500 weekend. It's the 2nd annual Country 500 Musical Festival. It's coming to the Daytona International Speedway May 26th through the 28th. The World Center of Racing will become the World Center of Entertainment Memorial Day weekend with performances by, get this, write this down,
all right,
Blake Shelton, Kid Rock, Miranda Lambert, Keith Urban, Brooks and Dunn, and more. If you need more information or you're looking to buy 1 or 2 or 1 or 3 day ticket passes, visit country500.com. Back to you in just a second.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
It's almost Busch o'clock. A time for relaxing and unwinding with a crisp, cold Busch beer. It's the most refreshing time of the day. Wait for it. 3, 2, 1. Busch. crisp, cold Busch. Enjoy responsibly. Busch Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Where will you be when NASCAR comes to Chicago's fastest loop? 4 days of racing, tailgating, camping, and music come to Chicagoland Speedway September 14th through the 17th. Tickets for Sunday Chicagoland 400 are available now. Camping spots are available and selling fast. All kids tickets $25 off adult price and free on certain race days. Get your tickets and campsite now at ChicagolandSpeedway.com. Chicagoland Speedway, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs start here.
I'm Matt DiBenedetto, and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meyer and Woody Kane. I wonder if Woody uses shampoo.
Just a drop of it is all I need. That's all I absolutely need.
I'm starting to use wax.
and a chamois. Yeah, that's exactly what you need. All right, enough of that. Let's get to a guy who can tell us about racing this weekend out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Justin Allgaier drives the Brandt Chevrolet for Junior Motorsports. He's second in the standings, 29 points out of the lead with a win and 2 big Xfinity Dash for Cash checks under his belt so far. Off to a great start. Justin, welcome back to the program, man. You guys are 9 races in, showing some solid performances, and that's got to be encouraging.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anytime you can start the season out and have good runs, and kind of accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, get the win, obviously, earlier in the season, that was huge. So it's just trying to live up to the expectation. We all put really heavy expectations on ourselves during the off season and want to accomplish a lot of things. And 9 times out of 10, that's usually not how it works out. So we're just happy this year that it's been working, somewhat the way that we want it to work out.
Talking to us with a full head of hair.
Well, he's one of the lucky ones. That's
exactly right. So you come off a week off with this Xfinity race season going on. The truck race is extremely slow getting started, but the Xfinity race kind of gets going and we have a fast pace. Do you enjoy this week off, or would you rather keep going consecutive weeks?
Well, we've actually had 2 weekends off because we had Kansas week off as well, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how the truck guys do it. For us, obviously it's great for just kind of management of equipment and time, and what a lot of our fans and people that are outside the industry don't realize is the amount of hours that our guys put in, outside of the racetrack, that they're putting in at the shop, and the time that they're spending there. So it is nice for them to be able to have some downtimes and time with their family, just to kind of relax a little bit. But by no means does our off weekends mean that they're off. They're at the shop, they're digging and trying to make sure that we got equipment ready to go for this. I think it's 18 or 19 week straight stretch that we have coming up. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. But on the flip side of that, as a driver, it's really hard to just kind of hit that pause button, if you will. As racers, we're wired one way. I mean, growing up, I raced 70, 80, 90, 100 times a year, and that becomes normal. And I think in some ways that's good, but in other ways it's bad because you have an unreal expectation for what today looks like, as far as only racing 33 times a year and really kind of having a lot more downtime. So it's been interesting for sure, but I don't mind it. I really don't mind the weeks off, but I'm ready to get back to the racetrack.
Absolutely. You might not be aware of this, Justin, but Joey gets 2 weeks off every May when the teams come to Charlotte, and he spends it, heading to the beach and just hanging out at the house in his hammock and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I'm glad to hear that most people in the sport are still working while Joey kicks back and takes it a little easy.
Well, Joey has been known to take a little bit of downtime every now and again. I mean, I have filled in for him before on a semi-regular, occasion. So.
I was on special assignment.
Yeah. That's what we call it, yeah, because nobody knows what's really going on there. Let's talk.
Even Joey.
Absolutely right. Let's talk a little bit about racing at Charlotte this weekend, because a lot of the talk over the All-Star race was how clean air on the nose of a good car with decent tires is still ruling the day at these 1.5-mile tracks. What's the feel of it in the Xfinity Series in terms of the things that are consistently going to keep a guy up front?
Well, I mean, I think clean air is clean air. No matter what series trucks, Xfinity Cup, it's been, very prevalent for the last number of years. And I'll be honest with you, I was super disappointed the other night for the All-Star race that it was so dependent. I think part of it is the fact that, there's less cars on the racetrack. We saw it last year when we had our heat races for the Xfinity Series Dash for Cash. We just didn't see the action in the heat races that we thought we would. The races were shorter and there were less cars, and it just created less drama, if you will. And I don't know that drama is the right word, because I don't know that I'm not necessarily talking about crashing, but the amount of passing and how you pass, it just seems like with less cars makes it even more difficult than it already is.
Yeah.
So, I think with 40 cars, I think this week will be a lot different. I think being in the middle of the afternoon, we saw the Truck Series race and the Cup Series race both during the evening and night. So that changes how you race. It's way harder to pass at night at Charlotte than it is during the day. So, I know that it's going to be important. I know that, having clean air is going to be a big deal. But on the flip side of that, I'm very optimistic that, a daytime race at Charlotte, which I'm not a daytime person. So
yeah.
This is big coming from me. I hate racing in the daytime. So, I do think that the racing will be better during the afternoon. And I think that, next Saturday, next Sunday are going to be a lot of fun.
One of the things you do in your off time is you have some testing going on. You and the entire Junior Motorsports company went down to Darlington and tested. But one of the unique things you got to test, if I'm correct in saying this, is the similar package that you guys are going to run at Indy. It's one of the things that we're trying to do to create some excitement and some passing abilities at the track with the restrictor plates and different devices on the car. How did your Darlington test go, and what was your initial honest opinion of the new Indy package test at Darlington?
So we actually got to only test Charlotte. My teammate William Byron he was the only one that got to go to Darlington.
Okay.
Right? So he tested it at Darlington, and I got to test at Charlotte,
There you
which
go.
we did get to test the package that we're going to run. It was very interesting. I won't lie to you. To be honest with you, what I thought it would do and what it did was totally different.
Okay.
It was. I think it's going to be interesting. I will say at Charlotte it was very awkward because everybody was out there and able to test, and so here's all these other competitors out there at full speed with not that package. I think they wondered what was going on because we were quite a bit off the pace compared to what they were.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when everybody's running the same pace, it really becomes no issue. You end up you end up not realizing how much different the speed is or how much different is driving. So I do think it's going to be interesting. I don't know necessarily about Indy. I find Indy hard enough as it is, being the shape that it is. So I'm a little bit curious how it's gonna play out with the bigger restrictor plate and some of the downforce back on it, and really trying to slow these Xfinity Series cars down. That being said, I'm open for change. I think one of the things that for me is probably different than a lot of people is that I want to see the best racing on the racetrack possible. I'm a fan of the sport, whether that's the Cup Series, the Truck Series, our own series. I mean, I go back and watch our races, when we get home. I'm a fan of short track racing. I mean, heck, the short track nationals in Bristol, some of the craziest racing I've ever seen.
There were some crazy wrecks in that thing as well.
It was a lot more wrecks than I would have liked to have seen, but that's kind of to be expected whenever you take guys that have never been to a place like Bristol. And
yeah.
I don't know what classes were required to have spotters, but they definitely. A lot of they weren't all Joey. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. But who is?
Yeah, who has these legs?
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, I'm open for change because obviously we want to put the best product on the racetrack that we can every week for our fans. I grew up as a fan of the sport. I've been to some good races and I've been to some bad ones. And you leave the good ones and you're ready to go back to the racetrack, and you leave the bad ones and you're like, man, I'm a huge fan and I don't know if I want to go back.
Right.
And I think for us, we have to put on a great show that when our fans do come, because they're going to spend their hard-earned money. Let's be honest, we're going to spend that money that we could go on a vacation to the beach, or we could go, hang out somewhere else. You're going to spend that money and you're going to come to the racetrack. So we, as racers, want to do our job to put on the best product and the best race possible so that when our fans do spend their hard-earned money, to come to the track. They want to come back when it's all said and done and when it's over. And that's what our sport was founded on. And I think that's what's going to keep driving our sport into the future. So I'm definitely open for change. And, I want to make sure that we do the best job possible for our fans.
Well, Justin, you certainly have been doing the job this year. You and the whole team at Junior Motorsports, second in the standings right now, a win, 2 Dash for Cash checks already this season. And we'll look forward to catching up with you out at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. Congratulations on the hot start.
I appreciate it. And I have to say, those 2 Dash for Cash checks have been pretty awesome. And it's a huge testament to what Xfinity and Comcast do for our sport. So huge thank you to them. And we got 1, 2, 3, and I think 5 or 6 in points. So Junior Motorsports has done a heck of a job this year, and I'm looking forward to keep pushing forward and see y'all at the racetrack here this weekend.
Cool deal. We'll see you out there. Thanks, man. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
There you go, Justin Allgaier. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with a little truck talk and a look ahead. But first, we got to remind you that it's almost Busch o'clock, the most refreshing time of the day. A time for relaxing and unwinding with friends and family over a crisp, cold Busch beer. Busch's roots are in racing, but whether you're enjoying the race or going hunting on the weekend, nothing is better when it's time to relax than a crisp, cold Busch. Since 1955, Busch has delivered a beer that's as crisp and cold as a mountain stream, consistently providing a refreshingly smooth taste and easy finish. It doesn't have to be happy hour to be Busch o'clock, the most refreshing time of the day. So grab a 6-pack of Busch beer for your cooler, start the grill, and relax. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Busch Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great.
Country 500 Music Festival is back with Blake Shelton, Miranda Lambert,
You can't ride in my little red wagon.
Kid Rock, Keith Urban, Thomas Rhett, plus Brooks and Dunn, Hank Williams Jr., Jake Owen, and so much more. Memorial Day weekend at Daytona International Speedway. Single day tickets on sale now. Visit country500.com. Sponsored in part by Budweiser.
Hey, Danica Patrick here. When I have friends and guests at the track who want to hear me drop pearls of wisdom during the race, I send them to Racing Electronics.
You all right back there?
I think so. I didn't, other than hitting a car, I didn't hit anything, but there's a tire down or something.
If you aren't listening to all the action live, you're missing out. Don't forget to rent a scanner or fan vision for the races. Go to racingelectronics.com to pre-rent for great discounts on your scanner and fan vision rentals.
All by himself with about 8 or 9 truck lengths advantage. Kyle Busch ready to sweep the floor tonight in Charlotte. Final time on the back straightaway.
Split the uprights earlier when he went through Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter, 2 of the best in the business, to grab the lead and eventually get the lead he's got now. Some 10 truck lengths for Kyle Busch on the final time off turn 4.
7th career win in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series at Charlotte. Kyle Busch wins.
Kyle Busch gets the victory at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Another dominant run for him in a truck, and don't forget he's continuing to sell those rowdy chassis right now, and that's another option or a reason for him to run those races. It's a business.
We talked about it earlier. If you didn't catch the first part of the show or on track, off track, KBM is doing a very good job supplying enough energy and parts for KBM and planting enough trees that produce fruit. It's okay if once in a while he goes over and grabs an apple and bites into it and savors the taste of what he's putting in to the sport. As an owner, as a driver, he's superior to the field, and these guys simply have to get better if they want to compete with Kyle Busch.
Yeah. Here's what he had to say. We'll wrap up after that with an opportunity for you to check out NASCAR Live on Tuesday night that you'll want to be aware of if you're in the Charlotte area.
Let's start with a bold move for the lead on lap 89.
Those guys were kind of road blocking it, bottom and middle, and I'm like, well, there's one lane left, and that's the top, so I better go use it. And it was a little dirty up there, but I gave it everything and got a huge run off the top. And then when Crafton came off the corner, he left the middle open. You know, I thought I was going to have to just push the 21, but he left the middle open, so I just squeezed it 3 wide and got it right up through the middle there and barreled it off into turn 3 as far as I could. So great race, a lot of fun. Can't say enough about all our guys at KBM and everyone on this Toyota Tundra team. They've done a fantastic job. It was really, really fast, and it's great to be able to get Cessna back to victory lane 2 weeks in a row, and of course having them on board with us here this year gives us a lot of great opportunities to improve our stuff.
There you go, Kyle Busch getting the victory at Charlotte. Johnny Sauter, meanwhile, continues to lead the standings by 15 over a driver for Kyle Busch Motorsports, Christopher Bell. Matt Crafton is third overall. Chase Briscoe, the rookie, fourth in the standings. Ben Rhodes, Timothy Peters tied for the 5th spot in the standings.
Another weekend at home, getting to lay back in the hammock.
You already got your shorts going. You're ready to go.
Other than the fact that we get Xfinity practice on Thursday. Brad Keselowski's in the Discount Tire Ford Mustang, which will run a handful more laps, races with him. And of course, Sunday night's the longest race of the year, over 4 hours, 3 stages. 3 stages plus
the last.
So a total of 4 stages this weekend. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be a lot of fun out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Don't forget, if you're in the Charlotte area, Tuesday night, NASCAR Live is going to be out at GoPro Motorplex. They got the Little 600 road course go-kart racing out there. A lot of big-name drivers will be there. Mike Bagley will be talking to them. You should go check it out as well and join them for the fun. I'm Woody. He's Joey. We're racing at Charlotte this weekend. We'll see you right back here next Monday.
MRN Motorsports Monday is presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in every Monday for another exciting episode right here on MRN.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network.